Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Wednesday, September the 3rd. These are the charts of the day. A crazy day on Wall Street with the market opening strong and then getting crushed. I mean, the Dow was down over 1,000. They had the NASDAQ 100 down 650 and the S&P about 160. It was a bloodbath for a while. And at the end, they bounced a little bit from an oversold condition as the tick got to minus 1,600 this morning, a number I haven't seen in a while. But certainly, the markets are in danger here. And there's some longs and shorts to look at, but for today, let's go take a look at some of the longs that did well today. Here's Applied Genetics, AGTC, took a pop and it exploded all the way to resistance by getting up to about just under 6.5, finished 580. It was still up 65 cents or 12.5% on 1.8 million. And sometimes they'll pop and pull back from resistance. And let's see if we can consolidate or hold here. Any move above today's high, though, above 6.5, and I think you're headed for additional upside to 7.25, maybe as high as 8.5. The problem is the market. If the market doesn't cooperate, we're going to get some further downside. We'll see. FiveV with a spectacular session exploded. At one point, got all the way up to 131.50, finished 126.13. It's still up 9.05 or 8% on 3.9 million. And what's more, it had a breakout of an ascending bull coil right there, and exploded near into a resistance zone. So I suspect we may see some further upside if things go well and the market doesn't completely fall apart, which could happen. And of course, we'll be looking at some shorts today as well. For now, though, you can see that the FiveV exploded and is on its way for the next leg up, it appears. Little GTX, Garrett, I got crushed lately, but I wanted to show you the reversal it had today, a monster volume. 16.5 million shares. I've never seen that except for on the IPO day. And now with resistance ahead, that would be a potential target at the gap and from the prior low. It's just about 4.5. That's my target going forward. Let's see if we can get it up there. Big day and debut for KCAC, the SPAC, which really had a beautiful day. Gapped up, ran up. We had a really strong consolidation pre-market. Let me show you a 2-minute chart. You can see how it ran really nicely. And when it broke above there, we had a day trade on it. It ran up nicely, pulled back, wedged, ran up and coiled, broke out across a triple top. At the very end of the day, just flew into the close and after all the way up to as high as 21.74 before backing off. Still a spectacular day for this stock, indeed. The way I'm looking at it now is I feel like the projection on this one should be upwards of mid-20s, and I mean like 25 as only as the next day or two. There's what the angle of ascent looks like, and certainly any breakout of the pattern that we're looking at right here. Again, this is a 2-minute chart. Might see it get much higher short term. With the market down sharply, the LEBU had a spectacular high volume day, 885,000. Is the biggest volume I've ever seen in this stock, quite frankly, and it's coming out of a base pattern, no less. Looking at the hourly chart, you'll see it more clearly. There's that inverse head and shoulder type base and the breakout late in the session. So at this point, should the market go lower, and it feels like it might, I think LEBU might advance into that 84, 87, 88 zone as your next real target. Big day for Macy's as well. Solid session. It did back off. It broke out and backed off. It finished up 45 cents or 6.4%. Volume was 81 million shares. Huge. And it's coming up to resistance, but a lot of additional overhead resistance is just ahead at 8.575. Should it get through there, my target's going to be 10.5. Smile Direct SDC popped yesterday and followed through today, but it did pull up back with the market and up only a dime at the end, so barely finished higher. But I wanted to show you how it took out a triple top today, and if it does advance further, I'd have to give you targets around 12 and 15. So with the market down, the bear ETFs like SPXU had spectacular days, but I want to show you the daily chart. You can see explosive coming off the low out of a long, long falling wedge. Let's reduce it a little bit and have it look more like a channel. Today it popped right to resistance, and it did it on monster volume for this stock. 79.8, almost 80 million shares, the biggest up day up volume it's ever had. So at this point, having come all the way down from 43 down to 7.5 over the last, since the March low, You can see that this spectacular move and close at the upper end of the range augurs well for more upside. At this point, looking at where prior support was that was broken, I'd have to target around 9.5 on this stock, and then probably up around 11. 9.5 and 11 are your targets going forward. On SPXU, SQQQ, similar, exploded today on 178 million, by far the biggest day in its history. And it came out of a short-term declining channel, but the longer one and more important was right here. If this can get up through 25.5 3/4, you might see the stock at 29, and even, let's just say the next resistance is going to be right to there at about 29.30 range. Beyond that, this market continues for a few weeks lower. We might see 33.34 or more. STRO popped today after following through on yesterday's pop. Volume today was 2.6 million, a lot for that stock. And it breaks out over multiple tops. There's additional resistance overhead, just under 15. That's my near-term target. PCON, long downtrend. Another junior biotech that popped today, big time. This is a reverse split as well. You can tell by these lines in here, that means the stock was reverse split. After coming down and V-bottoming at the March low, all the way down around 95 cents, it popped to about 2.5 and then consolidated for several months. But look at the volume in the last 3, 4, 5 days on the upside, particularly today when it traded 10 million and broke out and closed, I would say, a little bit above mid-range. For me, provided we get some cooperation from the market, your next target has to be 4.5 3/4. UVXY, of course, had a spectacular day on the biggest volume ever traded, 140 million shares, huge. Looking at an hourly chart, and see it a little bit better. A long downtrend, breakaway, bull wedge. There's the wedge. There's your breakout. A little pause for a few hours, but you can see the way it's stair-stepping up, and I mean sharply. Spectacular day for UVXY. We've seen a lot of them in the last few months, but this is the best one we've seen since, I believe, the takeoff part right there. So the overall structure looks like this. We may be at the top of the channel. We are above resistance there, which I like. We may get a fall through tomorrow morning early. Probably gets you into, I would think, at least 32, 32.5. And if we really get smacked, the market gives you 35 minutes. I would also look for pullback opportunities, perhaps near 28 if we get it. And finally, VVPR on the long side today. Powerful chart. This is an hourly chart. You can see how it ran up and then forming a little coil up here. The hourly chart, the daily looks like this. Spectacular run. Consolidating for 3, 4 days, but you can see the double top. And if this gets above 10, 35, 45, it can be 15 in a flash. Look at some of the box of shorts. And the ones I want to highlight today, one of our ongoing swing trade shorts is Arvin. I give you in 30s, mid-30s. It's now 23.88 and falling. That's as bad as it gets. Beautiful bear flag. Blackline came off a double top today and it would have dropped nearly $10 or 10%. Genmark after breaking down and forming a little bear flag, it came down and barely bounced before going lower. My targets are 10 and 8.5. New one today, GSX, looks like a massive head and shoulder top with a spike high reversal. Katie barred the door. If this gets under 73, I've been looking for mid-50s, no kidding. iRobot's another swing. You can see it came down from the wedge, failed right at the moving average, and dropped hard down 684 or 8 3/4%. If we get down underneath the recent low of 69, I'm expecting to see 65, 61, and maybe much more. Children's Place, an ongoing tech trader swing short after it broke down and formed the bear flag. We put a short on it at 36-ish. It went in half to 17 before bouncing, but you know what? That's another bear flag, indeed. We're going down to 15. My take. And that's it for tonight, folks. Have a good evening. Let's make some money tomorrow. Rain or come shine.